All right, everybody, you know what time it is. It's another Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the Relationship Gumbo Podcast Live Edition. And I hope everybody had an amazing week. Hopefully you're being safe. And we're going to have a short but impactful show tonight. We're going to talk about how people feel about and believe that they have a limited relationship and dating options. So it's going to be interesting. So as you come in, make sure you share and invite. And if you're listening to this on the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay so I know you made it here. So what I want you to do after you share, give me about 30 seconds. I'm going to make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to do, broadcasting to YouTube. And I'll be back on the other side of it and we're going to get going. So stand by.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derek Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, cause better relationships need better ingredients, so if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derek Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship Gumbo,
All right, we are back. And once again, I say welcome. If you're here for the first time, make sure that you go back. This is also an audio podcast as well. So we stream to, well, not stream to, but will be uploaded audio only to things like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. So you can listen to that on your headphones, in your car, and anywhere else you want to listen to. We're at 90 episodes. So it's a lot of amazing content that you can go through and kind of look at the topics and see what fits you best. So without further ado, if you are here for the first time, I normally will pause for 3 seconds, start the actual podcast, and then at the end of the podcast, pause for another 3 seconds, and then we're all done. So stay tuned, give me those 3 seconds and stand by. Welcome to another episode of the Relationship Gumbo Podcast. My name is Derek Jones, and I am your host. I'm a certified life and relationship coach, a strategist, an engineer, and a mental health advocate. And tonight, we have a topic that a lot of you have thought about, or even, in your travels and dating, you probably thought you had unlimited options. But tonight's topic is, does the illusion of unlimited dating options stop you from making real connections? So let's think about that real quick. Think about the world we live in. Think about what we have access to when we're talking about dating, online dating, how often people date, and what that really looks like. And so I broke this down. I have 5 points that I'm going to make, bullet points that I'm going to make tonight. Not everything, but the things that I want to touch on the most. So the first thing that I want to talk about is social media and online dating, the effect on our perception of what our options really are. Because when we go on these dating sites, we think that everybody, we have the option to swipe left, swipe right, and it's always going to be another person for you to kind of date and meet. And because of that, it gives us a false sense of hope sometimes. Because if you think about the numbers, everybody that you have access to isn't going to be your type. They're not going to hold your same values. They're not going to be, whatever your qualifiers are. So that list gets really small once you actually look at what you want for your individual taste and your needs for a relationship, right? Because we're going to talk about the second bullet point. We're going to dive a little bit deeper, but just think about that. Think about online dating and how quick people will date, break up, do all these different things, but it never really ends up into a real relationship. And then they think that this is life. You can just go back and get another one. You can get another one, and just keep picking. Reality says there's a certain point in your life and a certain age you reach where all of that illusion of having those choices starts to look real grim. And you start to realize that maybe that pool isn't as big as you thought it was. A lot of people are coming to that reality now. as they reach their 30s and 40s, and they're realizing that, wait, this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. So we have some topics I'm going to touch on tonight that's going to explain that a little bit more, right? So down to the next bullet point. Unlimited options typically mean, by way of how life works, unlimited situationships is what you really want to say. Unlimited situationships don't mean unlimited relationship potential, because you can always find somebody to hook up with and hang out. Do that with anybody on the street. No problem. Unlimited situationships is what you really want to say when you're talking about dating. You can do that all day. So on that part, you are right. There are unlimited options for you to hook up with. But we're talking about people who want something real, a real relationship, a real bond, whatever type of relationship you want. It has to be bonded by something. And that's what's not in unlimited supply for your specific case. So I need you guys to think about that, especially if you're single and dating and you think that you can just discard everybody because something better is around the corner all the time, right? And so that's going to segue into my next bullet point, which is something that I wanted to do a whole show on, but I'm going to talk about a little bit today, and maybe we'll touch on it at a later date in depth. So here's the thing. A lot of times people discard people really fast, like I said, because they think they have an unlimited supply of qualified people for your specific case. What it really amounts to is a lot of people look at red flags. They're red flag and they're hunting for the red flags. I got to figure out how they're going to hurt me. What are they about? Red flag, red flag, red flag. And anything that may look or smell like something that's possibly red, you're going to run from it, right? But sometimes red flags aren't really red flags. It's how we perceive people, it's how we attach to people that make it feel like something you may have encountered in the past, and it creates a red flag in your mind. But here's the kicker for this particular thing. Do we look so hard for red flags? I need you guys to catch this. Do we look so hard for red flags that we ignore all the green ones? So to the point of this particular episode, I'm going to say this one more time and then I'm going to expound on it a little bit. Do we look for the red flags so much that we miss the green flags? And what people tend to do is, because of maybe some trauma or some hurt and some defenses that you've built up, you almost manifest the red flags because nobody can really meet your expectation of guaranteed trust, right? It's impossible to do that on the first date or the second date. Trust is built over time. And that's why boundaries are important to have in understanding who you are and what you need, right? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit on one of the next bullet points. But there's a lot of good people out here that aren't perfect, right? And so you have to really know what you can and will not deal with, because sometimes we exclude people when we probably excluded them a little too fast. Because sometimes you can have a good person that's used to a certain thing and you shake them a little bit and then they get it, and then it ends up being beautiful. But if that one little thing, because I've had this conversation with many people that I coach, they'll key in on that one little thing and say, I'm out. And I'm like, okay, but what about everything else that you've experienced? Does that outweigh that 0.001% of the thing you didn't like on that one day out of the year? And the answer is no. That one little thing is tiny compared to everything else that you're getting. So you might want to try to see if you can work that one thing out, because no relationship is without flaw. There's things that you're going to argue about. There's things that you're going to disagree about, and you need to be able to work those things out. And a lot of times, because arguments don't feel good, especially when you have one early on, you think that that's a red flag, when it's really just being part of a normal relationship. So, and I just want to say again, I've talked to many people that saw that first argument was the red flag for them to leave because of their traumas. And when they told me, and I did my assessment on who they were with and how they fit, and I was like, you better go get your man and stop playing. In a couple of cases, them going back and getting their man and communicating better, they ended up getting married. Your boy got a few success stories under his belt. You really got to look at the green flag sometimes and say, you know what? That thing that I thought was a red flag, like, what are we arguing about? Most of these arguments are like about these little things that trigger you. But once you actually talk about it, and maybe for yourself, you need to understand why that little thing triggered you so hard. Because I talked to one of my guests that I had months ago, who's an actual licensed therapist. She said that she would go ham about taking the trash out when the trash wasn't taken out, almost to the point of, rage. And she had to take a step back and ask herself, was she really mad about the trash, or was it something else for her to go all the way to the point of just being pissed and yelling and arguing about the trash so hard that she realized that it came from another place that she had to figure out because it wasn't fair to him, because that wasn't going to be the catalyst to end the relationship. The trash, like, we could figure that out somehow, some way, as long as we willing to kind of talk about it. So that's why I'm saying, don't look so hard at the red flags that the green flags disappear, especially when the green flags are in abundance. Because some things can be worked out, talked out. And as long as you have a partner that's willing to talk it out with you and try to work it out, you'll be surprised how much magic can happen because of just effective communication. So don't ignore the green flags. Everybody gonna have something that's gonna feel a little off because we're encountering them for the first time. And I'm saying that to say, to the topic of this, you discard that person that had all those green flags because you think that you can just find another one that was that close and that connected. You might be waiting for a long time, and you might be waiting forever. You just never know. That's why I say don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Sometimes these people that's supposed to be with you and work out for you, we discard them because that little thing that we don't like. That one little thing we don't like is enough for. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't get it confused with deal breakers. If it's a deal breaker, then you gotta roll. But sometimes it's not that fear of falling for somebody, that fear of being vulnerable. Those red flags start to get real big because you're scared, but they might not be as red as you think. They might not even be red at all. Sometimes, here's the kicker, and I'm gonna move to the next bullet point. Sometimes a green flag that's obviously green becomes red in your mind because of something you've been through. I need y'all to catch that. Sometimes the red flag isn't even red. You creating the red flag and manifesting a red flag in your head because of something you've been through. And that's why it's essential for you to try to resolve some of that stuff. Because we were in, actually, I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. Let's move to the next one because it's going to make sense when I'm done. The other topic that I want to piggyback on the previous topics was what I'm calling postponing your availability to meet someone, right? And what I mean by that is, you know how you hear these people that say, once I get to this certain point in my life, let me get my PhD first, let me get a certain amount at my job, and then once I get to that point, that's way down the line, that's when I'm going to find my husband or my wife. I'm going to find them at that particular point in time. And then from that point, we're going to date for a couple years, and then we're going to have a kid after that. And then you didn't already map that out. Life doesn't work that way. Life does not work that way. I'm going to say it again. Life does not work that way. You cannot plan love. You cannot plan chemistry and connection by a date and a time. So I need y'all to stop doing that because there's a lot of amazing people on this planet, despite what you may see on the internet. You may run into an amazing person that may be willing to work with you while you're working on your PhD. you may run into an amazing person that may be willing to not see you as often because they don't want to lose you. And you know they're supposed to be there. But because you have these hard rules, I got to study. How many people had boyfriends that rocked with them while they were studying? Like you can't push people away because you think you can't make time. As we know, as grown adults, people make time for what they want. And a person can only be a distraction if you allow it. If they know what you're doing and they respect you, they're going to allow you to have your space to do what you need to do while you grow the relationship. Because there's people out here that are like 25 and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna wait until I'm 35 and then I'm gonna find a husband. There's no husband store to go to where you can just go and like, okay, I went that one. Yeah, he's got to be over 6 foot. He's got to have, I just got my PhD, so he's got to make $200,000 a year. And okay, I'm gonna pick that one because this is the date that I wanted to find one. It doesn't work that way. Despite what you may think, it doesn't work that way. You have to really, and this is going to go into my last bullet point, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up a little bit. And I'll get to some of these comments. Actually, I'll do the comments now, then I'll go to the last bullet point. Joyful and Blessed says, I'm taking note. I'm super careful to the point where maybe I'm extreme. Yeah. So whoa, the comments just rolled your question. So the answer to that, Joyful, is boundaries. You have to have faith that your boundaries that you set, as long as they're not ridiculous, will protect you for the most part from someone getting in somewhere that they shouldn't be. Right? Your vulnerability, your love, it's not a big door that they just open. It's levels to it. They got to earn their way in piece by piece. You just don't give it all to them up front. And that's where people run into fear. It's because they don't trust their own boundaries. And I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying in general, people don't trust their own boundaries. So it makes them afraid to even meet people. And that is not a healthy space to be in, because we're supposed to be on this planet to connect and meet with each other, even if it's not a romantic relationship. Right? Rick Hovind Gunter Man says, the new person isn't your exes. Absolutely. The other person isn't you. Black Girls Getting Their Shit Together says, trauma response. Joyful and Blessed says, I'll continue to pray for wisdom so I don't write off the right man. Black Girls Getting Their Shit Together says, like ordering a husband on Amazon Prime. Yeah, you can't, I never really thought about it until like recent years when you hear people say, when I finish this, then I'm going to find a husband. There's this thing that I talked about early on in the relationship gumbo from starting it, that I always used to tell people, because I heard it on the episode of I think it was Oprah, and they were talking about happiness. They had a guy, I think his name is Jay Shetty or something like that, and he was saying that there's a certain thing called destination addiction. You can look it up on Google. Destination addiction is when you prioritize something in the future. Like, if I make a certain amount of money, then I'll propose. If I get my PhD, then I'll be ready for this. Or what happens is, once you get to the destination, a lot of people will then create another destination after that, because they still got something else they got to do. And they call it an addiction because it never ends. It just keeps going. And then you never really attain the thing that you were reaching for, because you gotta, okay, I got enough money now, but now I need a car. Okay, now I got a car. I'll propose once we get the house. It doesn't end. And the woman or the man in this situation, they're still waiting on the proposal. They're like, I thought when you got the car. No, I was thinking maybe if we got the house first. Y'all need to stop doing that, because this, when you decide to get married, right? This is just general information. When you are on a path in a long-term relationship and you make these excuses why you can't do it, it has to be a certain way. Your relationship has to be a testament to your partner's willingness. This my quotable of the day. I'm thinking of it as I go. Your relationship is a testament to your partner's willingness to work with you, even while you're working on stuff. Let me say that again. Your relationship has to be a testament of your partner's ability to work with you while you're going through things. So while you're working on getting a car, they can rock with you. While you're working on getting a house, they can rock with you. While you already engaged or married, it can happen. Trust me, there is no such thing as a perfect date in time. No such thing. And if your partner can't support you while you're working through school, that ain't the one. That's not the one. If they can't support what you're going through at that time and you're excluding them because you think that they're going to make life worse or distract you, not the right one. Let me tell you something real quick. When my wife decided to own a online boutique, right? And as a man, I said, she's selling women's clothes. But then I saw her work ethic and I saw what she was going through, going out different places, setting up tables, setting up the racks. And I said, who the hell am I to not support, to not help that effort, even if it's something that is not near and dear to my heart? It's near and dear to her heart. So I put them clothes on my back. We went to these events. Things happen. You got to use the bathroom. Oh, you got to use the bathroom. I'm sitting at the table like, what's up? What size you need? Because I'm rocking with my partner. We got to make it work. That's the attainment. It's not the car in the house. It's the connectivity. So I need for y'all to really think about who you're discarding and why. If that why points back to you, you might have just blocked your blessing. And that doesn't mean life is over. You got multiple blessings in your life. Don't block them all. Sometimes you got to retreat, work on some things. You might need to talk to somebody. But you have to make yourself available to be met. You have to be open to the possibility that green flags exist. And the last point I want to make is just to piggyback on this. I ain't even set this up this way, but it's segueing the hell out of itself right now. I have down as a bullet point, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And when we say heal, I'm healing outside of some egregious, heart-wrenching trauma. We all go through things. And guess what you can do? This is a news flash, so don't tell nobody. You can still go on dates while you're in the process of healing yourself. Boundaries. Because there's some people out here that's been healing for 10 years and they take themselves off the market. And you know what happens when you take yourself off the market for 10 years? Relationship building, not just in romantic, relationship building, being able to network and meet people is a muscle that you have to keep fit so that when that person comes along, you understand how to maneuver through interacting with people. Guess what happens to a muscle if you don't use it? It atrophies. You can't even use it anymore. And you got to build that muscle back up. You got to still keep going out on dates. They not all going to be good, but you're getting your reps in. Your boundaries are tight, so you don't have to spend too much time in one place and your emotions don't get involved. Who's next? I just met a guy at the grocery store. Let me see what he about. Oh, he not good. You're putting in your reps because when the blessing comes, you're going to be like, okay, this is what I want. I figured it out. Okay, cool. It's you, sir. And I'm ready because I put my reps in. So let me read these comments. Rick says you get comfortable being alone. Yeah. But there's a double side to that sometimes. I'm going to talk about this in a second. Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together says, I saw a woman on the show who hasn't been on a date in a relationship in 17 years. Yeah, don't let your fear box you out of finding something magical. Because people do that. You get hurt a couple times, or, and this is what I talk about. Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together says this is the genesis of the cat lady. So 2 points I'm gonna make, right? And then we're gonna start wrapping it up because I want to talk to Rick's point about being comfortable being alone. And I want to talk about how when you take yourself off the market, you know, you the cat lady. Matter of fact, I'm a segue. Watch how this works. Watch me work. So you'd have been off the market for 10 years, 17 years, 5 years. It's a relationship that you got hurt, or a couple of relationships you got hurt, right? So now you're going to do one or two things, right? You're going to be by yourself and claim that you're healing, or you're going to go out on the market unhealed and you're going to be looking for trauma bonds to help you deal with your trauma, which is also dangerous, right? Resolving your trauma doesn't mean a cure for your trauma, right? Some of us have to go talk to a coach or a therapist to try to figure it out because we can't figure it out, right? It's not the boogeyman. It's to help you make better decisions so you don't do those same things again. Because a lot of us, if we look over our relationship history, there's a pattern. Sometimes you need to break the pattern, and sometimes you don't have the information or the know-how to get out of your pattern, right? But here's the thing. You can say you healing for 10 years. You can say you healing for 5 years. But here's the thing. Stop looking for a cure for your trauma. Learn how to deal with it and manage it better so that you can be available to date while you're in the process of healing. Follow what I'm saying. If you're looking for a cure, you will never find it. The therapist isn't going to make the trauma go away. Matter of fact, here's proof. If you're listening to me, whether you're listening to me live or not, this is the proof that traumas don't get cured even though you distance yourself from them. Think about the time where you had a horrible breakup and that pain that you felt when that person ripped your heart out your chest. They cheated on you. They did the thing that just totally ripped you apart. If you think about it right now, you can remember exactly how it felt, and you could have been 18. It doesn't go away. You learn how to manage it better. It never goes away. I can remember that pain like it was yesterday right now, but I learned how to work around it and work through it and manage it better so that I can function, so that I'm not putting myself off the market so people can't meet me. I need you to hear that. You can be in the process of healing, construct some boundaries that say, you know what? My history says I let these dudes sleep with me too soon. Well, guess what? There's boundary number one. You know the pain points because it hurt. You know what it feels like. But don't make those boundaries into brick walls and steel walls where nobody can smile at you, get out my face, nobody wanting to talk to you. Like, come on. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. 10 years is a long time to be working on the hurt that you had when you was 21. Rick says, we are sometimes only a few perspectives away from seeing things totally different. Exactly. And that's what I champion on this show. New perspectives. There's always like your goal, right? And this, everybody may not necessarily be in this magical relationship that lasts for 50 years. However, the path to success in anything you do has multiple lanes. You just got to figure out which one works for you to get there, but the goal is still the same. You just have to look at it with different eyes, because how many people had a type when they was 20 and that type is totally different at 45? You're looking at life through a different lens now. You have different needs and different things. And once you start looking through a different lens, then you start to pick different. But you have to be mindful. Are you picking with this? Or are you picking with the trauma and the emotions and the attachment craziness? Why am I so clingy with men that I know aren't good for me? Where's that come from? Why do I keep attracting them? What's my energy saying when I walk in the room? Does it say desperate? Am I giving everybody a chance that want a chance? Am I giving no one a chance, even if they qualify, because I'm scared? You have to look at these things. And like I said again, sometimes you need a third party to kind of look over with a bird's eye view and kind of align the pieces for you so you could say, oh my gosh, maybe I need to do this, make a little shift. And then the trajectory of your experiences go in a totally different direction. And your energy changes because now you're dating with a new purpose. And those people will feel that. And they'll be like, I like it right here. I want to sit next to her. Look at that energy. I need for y'all to, because some of y'all ladies be out there and men have their own set of issues. Some of y'all ladies be out there with that RBF, the resting face. And y'all be out in public talking about, I'm having fun. I don't understand why nobody is talking to me. Okay. Energy means everything. What kind of energy are you attracting? So, and the last point I want to make about this topic about people feeling like they have unlimited choices, right? Sometimes your unlimited choices in your head only, and I talk about this a lot because people really need to understand this. Sometimes when you live in a certain area, and you date in that region, you think that you can continue to date in that area for the rest of your life and eventually something's going to work. If you're meeting the same type of guy in the same city for 5 years, you might need to go a couple hours up the road. You might need to do some online date. I don't know, but it ain't there. We're creatures of habit. Go to the same bar every weekend and hope we meet somebody. Might not be there. Y'all be living in these huge states and just stay in one area and think that that's all the men. I'm eventually find one at this one bar because that's where I feel comfortable. Got to get out your comfort zone. Got to do something different to get a different result. You may do a weekend in another city, meet somebody, and that person may be willing to travel to you. You never know. Magic happens when your energy changes and when you're willing to get out of your comfort zone. Because when you stay in there, all of those unlimited possibilities start to look like clones of each other. And you're like, well, I keep meeting the same man because you keep going to the same bar and they all grew up in the same hood and they all going to dress the same and they're all going to be like you. It's really like leading emotions keep us safe sometimes, but sometimes it makes us not see the bigger picture. It's simple math. If you don't like a certain type of man and you stay in the same region where they all grew up together, they all were socialized together, they all dress similar, they all go to the same spots, guess what? They're all going to possibly be like we all claim we're all individuals. But if you live in a blue collar town and you want a white collar man, you can't make it fit. You might have to go to a city that has a bunch of white collar people in it. Like it's math. You got to get out your own way and get out your bed and get out your house, go up the road, take a day trip, do a staycation 2 hours up the road or something. But there's magic out there. You have to take the initiative, men and women. So I want to leave y'all with that. Like, you really have to be open to the fact that things can happen. Like, there's no guarantees. I'm not guaranteeing you if you do certain things, you're going to find Mr. or Mrs. Right and live happily ever after. I'm saying you get closer to that, the more open you are to the possibility that that person may exist and they might not be perfect. And you might see a little hint of something red, but you see a whole lot of green. You might have to see if that little bit of red is worth working with, because nobody's perfect. Nobody. And if you are, I'm going to call you Jesus. Right? Or whatever your deity of choice is. Because I know some people, I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah. Think about it. replay the show, especially if you're single. It's not an unlimited amount of choices that fit what you want. Even if it's 10 million people on Tinder or whatever or whatever you think those choices are, there's only a finite amount that fits you. And from that number, you can't say, well, everybody on online dating is they're crazy people. You're on there. Give them a chance. But with your boundaries intact, you can discard them if they don't fit. Be self-aware. Get to know who you are. There's a lot of people out here that spend their whole lives and don't even know who they are. So here's the thing. That might be step number one for you. Once you are self-aware, because you have to ask yourself this simple question. Out of all of these horrible decisions I've made in picking people, do I really know who I am? Because if you don't know who you are and what you need in your life, and it may change depending on what stage of life but in the moment, if you don't know who you are, how can you choose what you need? It's another quotable of the day. I need y'all to catch these jewels. If you don't know who you are, how on earth are you capable of picking someone that you need? It's impossible. Because at that point, you're simply picking with emotion. There's no brain in that. And when you pick with emotion only, we know how that ends. When you're high emotion picker, you're easy prey for predators because that's what they lick their chops for. Oh, I got a course coming. I'm working on a course that's called How to Catch a Predator. Y'all need to stay tuned for that. It's coming. I got a couple of courses coming that I'm working on. I got to record and all that. The Catch a Predator course will change your life. And the reason why it will is because I was a card carrying member and we about to get that in. If you go back through my shows, there's a character I created called Billy. That's a predator, and I talk about him extensively. We about to go down that rabbit hole so that you guys can understand some of the things that you do that make yourself extremely tempting to these people. Black girls getting their shit together has a disdain for Billy. Billy's a bad dude. Rick says on YouTube, without self-awareness, the preferences may not meet your core needs. Exactly. Self-awareness is key. And like, I want to say for me, it took a lot. Like I probably was in my maybe late 30s when I really became self-aware because I was just doing whatever. And, the choices I made fit me not knowing me. Go back to your history and look at the people you picked. It's a pattern. Think about where your mind was and why you picked them. And then why did you pick the next one? What was your state of mind? Did you pick the person based on some other thing? Like I always talk on my show, sometimes I pick the person. The only qualifier was that they was the opposite of the person that hurt me. That was it. I didn't look for nothing else. Just don't hurt me like this. I just need you to be the opposite of that. And then we go in there. And then you get into that relationship and you realize there's some other stuff that you probably needed that you didn't even check off. And now you stuck. It's these little things. That's why I call the show Relationship Gumbo, because there's little ingredients that you can tweak that change the trajectory of your life. It's not always this big thing that needs to be solved. Sometimes you just shift a little, put a little bit of extra salt in there, do this ingredients, take this out. Okay, cool. Now I have a better vision and you can move forward. Mix it up, taste it. Oh, it don't taste right. Okay, cool. That's the dating process. Keep those boundaries in check and keep those muscles working. Because you're going to need them one day. When that person come your way, you're going to be like, cool, let's go out on a date. All right, cool. I know what I want. These are questions I need. You're going to be seasoned, and they're gonna have to answer those questions. And if they're afraid of the questions that you need, that ain't the one. They're not thinking like you. They're not looking for long term. Keep it moving, sir, and do what you got to do. But you can't get to that if you're afraid to even step outside. Self-awareness and knowing what you want and having your boundaries builds a confidence like you've never seen in your life. And it'll be hard for them to break your stride if you believe you're doing the best thing for you. Does that mean someone won't slip through the cracks and try to hurt you a little bit? Sure, it can happen. But because you're thinking with your logical mind and you have your boundaries in check, you'll see it a lot faster. And when you see it faster, then you can leave earlier. And if you leave earlier, the devastation is minimal and you can go back out and go to the gym and work out some more. I need y'all to replay this. So think about that. Think about it, digest it, see where you need to make improvements, but don't stop. Like I said, unless you have some of you may need to go talk to a therapist or a coach. Some of you just need to make little tweaks. But in order for you to know where to make the tweaks, you got to look at your life and see where you've been to know where you need to go. It's a hard thing to do, is to go back and look at where you made the wrong turn, because we always want to say, bad person over there. But you chose them. Why? Because once you figure out the why, then your choosing starts to change. Okay, catch that. We about to wrap it up. And yeah, just think about it. Y'all see how I'm doing this show? This is personal to me. Like, I want y'all to really get this, because I've been there. All of us have been there, or we are there, but we know how this feels to make these wrong decisions. We know how it feels to hurt. We know how to get on the other side of hurt and be scared. I don't want nobody to hurt me like this, so I'm going to move this way because I'm afraid of the pain. Don't be afraid of pain. Be afraid that your boundaries ain't right, and get those boundaries right. Then the pain can come and you can just block them like karate chops. Be like, hold on, nope, that didn't feel right. Oh, that hurt a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, sir. Lose my number. You got to be that. It was nice getting to know you. I had fun. Something don't feel right, sir. You only available at midnight on Saturdays. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you got a good excuse. It doesn't feel right to me. Maybe I might be jumping the gun, but I got things to do. So maybe when you finish whatever this is, because you single with no kids and you got off at 5 o'clock, you can't call me. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and let you do you. Whatever it is, have fun with that. And I'm going to go ahead and have fun with my life. No pain. You got to leave when it doesn't feel right. Yep. So I'm gonna read this last comment and then we're gonna get out of here. Black Girls Getting Their Shit Together says, we're used to the what, when, how, but dismiss the why. The why is the key to your redemption. Seriously, I'm gonna tell you a little Derek story, and then I'm really getting off of here. Without me knowing the why, I went through life, and we talked about Billy. So if y'all gonna need to binge the episodes, because there's some good Billy episodes in there. I went through my life not caring about the why. I was choosing on impulse. I was choosing out of pain. I was hurting people because I was hurt. Didn't care about the why I was picking them. But here's the thing. Here's my redemption and why I've been married for 11 years. Because once I thought about the why, I might not have had all the pieces together. The why means everything, because once I looked at my history, I realized that every person that I picked, even if it wasn't a long-term relationship, did not lead me to being happy. So I had to change how I moved. I had to change what I accepted in my personal space which was huge to me as a man, because there's a lot of women out here that just don't care, and they want to be up in your house on the second day that you meet them, and they want to do, and I had to tell them, hold on, I have things to lose, and I'm not going to allow you to have access that soon because you're going to get comfortable and I don't know you. I've never did that before. But when I started doing that and I started having my own boundaries as a man, then I started to pick better. And the women, y'all say think men have egos. These women was pissed because they couldn't just be a woman and that was all the qualifier. And I was just going to bow down and be like, okay, come on, let me go ahead and buy this for you. I'm going to let you in my house and you can sleep over. No, you're not going to mess up my peace of mind early already. And you already pushing me to do something I don't want to do. Sorry. Once I started doing that, I started picking better. And when I realized that I didn't have unlimited options of this new version of me and what I needed, then every person that got in my personal space had to count. And once I got into that headspace, that's when I opened the door for my wife to come in. If I didn't do that, I probably would have never met her. So I'm not saying that this is the perfect recipe for whatever. You got to figure out what works for you. But if you're operating in the spirit of lack, if you're operating in desperation, if you're operating in, I just need somebody to hold me because I don't want to be alone, you're going to have to figure that out. Because notice, none of those things I just said had anything to do with qualifying what you need. So we're going to stop there. We got next week, I think I have a guest coming on. We're talking about is dating on life support. We're going to talk about how she's younger. She's probably, I think she's in her 20s. So she's going to talk to you from a different perspective. Because I don't want to always sound like the old dude talking about old people stuff. I want y'all to see the big picture of how this works together, like how we maneuver this thing, because anything is possible as long as you stay true to who you are, and that energy will attract like energy. It's going to attract some other stuff too, but that's what the boundaries are for, remember? Everything, like I tell my daughter, everybody ain't going to be your friend. You get to decide who stays and who goes. That's your decision, not theirs. I've been telling her that ever since she started grade school. They're not all going to be nice. I'm telling you this ahead of time. And when they aren't, you have to make a decision whether they stay or go. So we're going to leave that at there. We're going to wrap the podcast up. I appreciate everybody who tuned in live. I appreciate the replay viewers. And I appreciate the people that keep coming back every week. Y'all are the real superstars of the show and engagement and all of that stuff. Make sure that you go to relationshipgumbo.info so that you can link up with me on my Instagram, which is at relationship_gumbo. Y'all need to get on that IG because conversations happen outside the podcast on there. I just pop up sometimes. You get the notification and we just have a blast. We have fun. We talk, we chat, we laugh, we cry. And I do that sometimes multiple times a week. No time, no date. I just pop up when I have time. And if your Instagram is attached, then it lets you know I'm there. And if you're available, I get people to come up on the camera if they want to, and we just have dialogue. It's fun. So make sure you do that. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can get notifications when this happens every week so that you don't miss it. Because a lot of people say, oh, I didn't know the show was happening. I didn't get there. I'm like, did you subscribe and hit the little bell on YouTube? Oh, no, I didn't subscribe. That's why. Get it in, people. Relationshipgumbo.info. Go to that website and just go follow everything because I got some exciting stuff coming up. I'm collaborating with a lot of people. If those of you who haven't seen or heard, I'm a part of this 5-man team every Monday at 8 p.m. on the show called Shop Talk. And we talk about men's issues and things surrounding men from a real place, from grown men that are, and actually Rick is on here. Rick is one of the gentlemen. Gunter Man is on there. You know, We about to do some damage out here. We already are. And the topics are getting more in-depth, more powerful. And we out here just trying to change some lives. So on that note, I'm out of here, guys. Make sure you have a good rest of your weekend. Take care of yourself. Take care of the little ones, the old ones, and everybody in between. And as always, with Relationship Gumbo, better relationships need better ingredients. So come back every week and get another dash of salt, some peppers, some onions, whatever you need to make it right. So y'all have a great day, and I will see you next week. All right. Podcast is over. Thank you guys for coming, and I'll see you next time. Have an amazing rest of your night.
Okay, everybody wants good love, that's true, I know. Derrick Jones about to break it down with the Relationship Gumbo. Welcome to the podcast. Ain't no doubt we all need this, ayy, cause better relationships need better ingredients, ayy. So if you want better relations, it's about communication, finding love, staying together. We all wanna make it better, yeah. Derrick Jones, the host, your relationship coach. Thank you all for tuning in. Relationship